What's happening, good people? Oh man, let's talk about some deals. First thing, leading out, get right into it, is the AC200Max is on sale for $16.99, which I think is a good look. I'm pretty sure that that's the Kickstarter price. The importance of that is I considered buying it at the Kickstarter price because it was only like $100 to $200 more than the AC200P. Now that was way back then, right? Um, Times have changed now. That AC200P has been on sale multiple times, I believe, for like $12.99. Even still, 1300 versus what, 1700. I think that's compelling. I'm not even going to live in what the AC200 Max normally costs, but it's an interesting joint. I've been seeing it hanging around on Facebook. I actually have the page up around here somewhere of their whole entire page where they have multiple things on sale. The things that I found most compelling, let's just deal with all the Bluetti sales real quick. Maybe I can go ahead and share this. What's up, Nathan, Sharon, Kimber, Jack? Good to see you guys. Um, Present. Yes, Saya, stop that, buddy. I feel like you picked the show. Go sit down and watch it. Thank you. You're up. Nice. Let's see here. I'm going to share this window to start, and then we'll pop it on up. So they say that the sale ends on November 30th. Shout out to Char Farme because she be keeping me in the loop. She is in the loop. So this is the AC200 Max, 2200 watt inverter and 2000 watts 2048. Y'all know what these joints is hitting for, right? But it's $16.99, $200 off compared to $18.99, which I think is pretty interesting. Now, the EB70 is also on sale, the 70S, and the EB55 is on sale. Now, I could be wrong here. Let me think about that. The EB55 has always been like an interesting device because it has always been so close in price to the EB70. The EB70 has 714, I believe, watt hours of power. The EB55 is $100 cheaper, even on sale. They're $499 and $399 respectively, but it only has 500 watt hours. I was tempted to say that the EB55 was the better deal, but I think because of the watt hour capacity, the 70 is still a better grab. I don't know if I will buy the EB70 these days, even at $500, but I'm picky eyed, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's the reason why I didn't really like the AC200P when I was thinking about buying a bigger power station. Not because I don't like the device, but it's more so because I want to get the best bang for my buck. And with it having that limited, can't take a 12-volt panel, the 60 watt PD port, um, those are the main limitations comparing it to the AC200 Max. I was like, I wasn't excited about that. But price always matters for me. Price does not live in a vacuum. If something, you guys know, I bought it refurbished. Refurbished was like $600, maybe. I don't know how much it was. I don't remember. It could have been like 700. I'm not sure. That was an interesting, compelling purchase. You know, so what it needs two panels in series. It's like it's all relative for me. At a certain price point, some cons, quote unquote, are forgivable. Let's scroll down here so I can show you guys the other joints. So it's the EB70S, 800 watt inverter, 716 watt hours. My EB70 is still going strong. It's an interesting little device. I don't know if the watt hour capacity is holding up. I don't know if the watt hour capacity was ever up to par on this particular device. I didn't have that mindset, nor did I have the ability to test capacity back then. So it's like I could test the capacity now, but I don't have anything to contrast it to. Now, I don't like their panel deals. These don't seem compelling to me. If the device is $500 and you're giving me a device and a panel, a PV 120, mind you, for $700, that means that 120 is $300. How does that math work? Am I missing something here? I just don't see it. 120-watt panel should only be an extra 200 and maybe $40. So that $700 price point is missing the mark there. That doesn't feel like a sale at all. Am I tripping? Like, what y'all think? And then here's the EB55 for $399 with the 500 watt hour. Now, put that in perspective, right? Think about that for a second, because these deals don't live in a vacuum for me. They may live in a vacuum for you guys. Some people have like limitations on the type of devices they can buy just in terms of what's available. I know in the UK and across the EU, some people they don't have access to all the devices that we have. So their situations could be a little different. So I don't want to take that for granted that everybody has a plethora of power stations to pick from at a particular price point. But this EB55 going for 400, 700 watt inverter, 537 watt hours is LiPo. Think about that EcoFlow River Max, which is on sale right now for 420. Let's just dig into that for a second, because let me make sure it's still on sale, because they had a dope sale today that I was very much tempted by. And I saw those names in all caps with that little teal blue, and I figured it was you. So the EcoFlow River Max 2 is on sale for 420. Oh man, I can't even get excited about it until I confirm that it's still good money. So let me confirm that. If the promotion is still going, it's an excellent promotion. And it still is. They're giving you a free 110 watt panel when you buy it for 420. Getting the dip for 420 is already a good deal. Not fantastic, but pretty good, respectively, because there is no real 500 watt competitor that's up to speed. Like Bluetti had the advantage when the EB70 came out because they were one of the biggest and kind of only LiFePo power stations in that price point. I knew I was going to buy the dip when they announced it. It was one of those things I was just going to make the sacrifice to do, because it was like $499 for a 700 watt inverter, 700 watt hours of capacity. It was a no-brainer. I ended up getting a bit of a deal on it because I was a YouTube channel. Bluetti's not showing me love these days, but that's a whole nother story. So we were talking about the EB55 at $399. Compare that to this. Let me show you what I'm looking at right now. I don't even have it up. My bad. Dang it. I got to share something different again. But compare that to the EcoFlow River Max 2 for 420 with a free panel. I feel like you got to go with that River. They're both LiFePo. The EcoFlow River 2 Max, geez, that's a mouthful, is newer. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the 8 amp input limit. Not to get confused with the EcoFlow River 2, which does have, I believe, an 8 amp input limit. And it could only take in 110 watts anyway. So this is very compelling. I don't necessarily need a 110 watt solar panel. But man, that's freaking incredible. It's an incredible deal. Jason Noy, what's going on, my man? The EU and the UK have some products. Oh, they have the same products, but do they have the same products as us? I'm sorry, I think UK, because quite a few people mention the UK who are viewers of this channel, but the EU overall, there's some limited selection. Not greatly, but it's just like I was helping a viewer. Somebody reached out to me and wanted some guidance on. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. Yeah, so like I was saying, that some of the products are limited. They have a lot of the products, but not all of them. I went to like Amazon.co/whatever it was to help that viewer out because she was concerned about the winter. I have been trying to keep track of what was going on over there, just in terms of Russia potentially cutting off some supply of something, and then the price is possibly going up. It's a whole thing, you know what I mean? But Prepping on the Creek, what's happening? Beats, it's good, man. Silver Circle, Leela Presti, good to see you guys. We don't get the deals like you get in America. I got you, sleeper. All right. So back to the lecture at hand. I don't want that. I want that. I want to present again. No, I'm not ready to do that. I do have links down in the description. I have to fill out a couple of the links, the AC200Max, the EB70, and EB55. I haven't put links on that yet. For all the other devices I'm going to talk about, I do have links down there. Let's see here. There's some other interesting deals I've come across. I don't think anything is beating this EcoFlow. Man, Max with a free panel. I don't know what's going on with EcoFlow to the point where they're giving away panels for free. The only thing I can think of is maybe they're just trying to get rid of inventory. The 110 watt solar panel is an older panel. I watched a review or a video on it today. It was from like 2 years ago. So it's been around for a while. And I saw it getting like 85 watts in kind of ideal situations. So, good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. I know I saw living the van life around here. What's up there, man? How's it going? Good to see your life, man. Let's talk some solar. I don't know what that is. Said the same message twice. Okay, cool. All right. All is going well for the people who are asking. I can't complain. What was this? Okay, let's get rid of that. EcoFlow River Max 2 deal is, that deal is pretty hot. I can't lie. All right, take it from the top. We have this. I do want to talk to you about a device that was sent to me. We'll talk about that a little later. So we have a featured device on the live stream. 3 Blue Dragons, what's happening? Former Marshall, good to see you, sir. How's it been going? Hey, Deborah, I finally got you live. I need something to get me started. I would like at least 1,000 watts. Which is best Black Friday sale? I'm confused. Don't want to waste money. At the onset, I feel like you can't go wrong with the EcoFlow Delta 2. It's like $899 right now. It's the most capable 1,000 watt hour device that I've seen. It's LiFePo 1,800 watt inverter, maybe a little more. It's a little limited on the solar, but not for that watt hour and watt capacity. That's the way that I would go. I don't know what they're doing for Black Friday. They had a deal the last live stream, which was about 2 weeks ago, where if you bought it for $899, they gave you 2 100 watt solar panels for free, which is bananas. Just like this deal with this EcoFlow Max 2 is bananas. I can't comprehend it, but that's a great starter. So what you can do is you can wait until Black Friday to see if they will offer that deal again, where you get the 2 free panels. I don't know if that's going to come back around. And then you also can kind of stick around for the Christmas shopping season for another sale. But even still, at $899, that dip it's unmatched. I don't think there's one out there in that watt hour capacity that is compelling enough. Refresh. I'm gonna reload. Sheesh, I have a lot of tabs open. My gosh. Okay. Let's go down this list of things that I came across. The first one is the Bouge RV. Let's see. This is the Bouge RV 180. Nothing like out of the ordinary here, but it's a 180 watt panel for less than $180. So that's always a good look. It's 160 and there's a 5% coupon on it. So you save a little more, maybe cut off some taxes for you. I think that that's an interesting deal, especially if you have a power station that this is suitable for. And what I mean by that is just something that could take in up to 200 watts, like the EcoFlow River Max, the Bluetti EB70, the EB55, and even the EB3, even the EB3A would work well with this. Those devices having their 8 amp input limit don't really have any perfect panels, but these are better. The 180s are, because I believe they have a higher voltage and lower amps. You compare it to their 200 watt panels. Their 200 watt panels have lower voltages and higher amps. I did a whole video on the Bluetti EB, the Bouge RV 200 watt panel and the 180 watt panel. Saya, take it easy, buddy. Chuckle. So this one is intriguing. What else we got going on over here? I don't see anything really interesting in the options. 120 watt mono panel. That's not bad. $105. It's not great either, but this 180 watt is interesting. I came across this one too. This is a new power. It's pretty much selling for the same thing. Jason Noy, who's around here, he had an issue with a couple of his new power panels. So you kind of got to tread carefully with that. I don't mean to paint with a broad brush on new power, but he has some output issues there. But this is a 180 watt panel for about the same price with a 6% off coupon. So you get 1 extra percent, which is interesting. Listen, y'all know I'm not the biggest fan of 100 watt panels. These panels are intriguing. To have one panel you throw out there, especially if you're just starting out, to have something that capable, you'll probably get about 140, 137 watts. If you angle it right, you may get a little more. I typically see around 150, something like that. That's a good feeling instead of having like a 100 watt panel giving you 70 watts, 80 watts. You know what I mean? Or having two 100 watt panels that you have to put in parallel or series on some more capable power stations. I just think it's a better situation to be able to angle a 200 watt panel, move a 200 watt panel. I'm a fan of that. You're saying, Bouge RV, if I remember, help me out. I remember Bouge RV had output issues, but the other panels did outperform the new power panels, right? Or were the new powers, I thought they got less power output still. That's what I'm waiting for before I go after any deal, the actual Black Friday. That's interesting. I wonder if it will be that much different, because what's going on lately is they run these deals earlier and earlier to take advantage of the shopping season. So that's why they kind of call them Black Friday deals even now. They have been extending it and pushing it back to take advantage of people's willingness to buy and spend money around these times. So I wonder if they're going to get any different. You may find something that's just, better than what you have now. This one is a little bit different, but I did see it and it caught my eye. It's a 100 watt flexible panel for $126. Typically, these panels that are flexible, they go for about $2 per watt, much like the folding panels. So for this one to be 126, I can't vouch for this company. I mean, the panel looks okay. You know what I mean? Looks fine. One thing that is interesting about some of these panels, any of these purchases outside of the bigger power stations, you have to watch it for the smaller power stations as well, is you have this holiday window to try this stuff out. So you have about until January 31 to have this panel to try it out to see if it performs well. I'll be honest with you, according to Will Prouse, these flexible panels, they perform very well initially, but then their output falls off. I have been using mine day in and day out to kind of monitor that. I haven't been super scientific with it, but I am going to be watching for when summer comes around again, because I got them in the summer, last summer, like the summer that just passed. So I'm gonna be kind of keeping an eye on my Renogy Black division, which I got for maybe like $150, which was a good sale. And I also got a Renogy, just the plain silver, somewhat flexible panel. It can't flex too much; it'll start to break. But I got that one for like 125. So I was willing to take the risk on them because they were greatly discounted on sale. But this one is interesting. What do we have next? This one I feel, oh yeah, 139. Okay, I thought it said 159. This one is interesting too. This is the ITEHIL. I always remember them because they reached out to me to send me a power station, but I think they were just fishing in the vast sea that is YouTubers who make videos about solar power stations. They were going to send me a power station, but they never followed through, which happens often. I get it. I have a smaller channel, so it happens. But this 100-watt folding panel for $140 is very interesting. I didn't look very closely at this, but it seems like it has, typical stuff. What's going on here? What was that? Dude, what is that? Unscrewed a nut? What is going on here? It's a suction cup? That's interesting. It's a very interesting approach. USB 2.0, 3.0, no USB-C. Very few panels have USB-C on it, and then it's rated like super low. So it comes with a set of, you got some adapters, you got a DC cable with it and all that jazz, but $140 for a 100-watt folding panel. I like the way that these prices are trending for these folding panels because these dips, Rock Pals for the most part, was my most known budget folding panel, and they would be sitting at like $180 instead of like the $220 that some other panels could go. I know Jason Noy has long been a fan of the Elecanto ones, but those, I think they may have gotten popular as of late because I'll see them as like $220 and then they'll be on sale for like $180. I haven't seen great deals on them, but I'm also not checking for them. I heard about them from Jason Noy, so it's not something I'm tuned in. Y'all know I'm not tuned into folding panels anyway, so that's a whole nother thing. Let's see what we got here. This one right here is just all around intriguing to me. Like personally, I am intrigued by this one. Now, I just like the form factor. The form factor is different. Let me see what Jason was talking about. No, the new power were decent, better, thicker frame, same power basically. I'm gonna have to go rewatch that video. Jeez, I don't know why I came away with the impression that the new powers didn't perform as well as some of the others. I knew the Bruges RVs were weird, but like, look at this. This form factor is very intriguing to me. I wonder how thick they were. I actually got into a space where I was going to reach out to them, but I just got distracted. I was on their website. Their website is actually still up around here somewhere. Let's see here. That's those tabs right there. Those are all eco-worthy tabs. I find this panel very interesting because of that form factor. I love a bifold panel. I just think that that's intriguing. I wonder how well it folds up. I wonder how stiff it is. I see that it has kickstands back here. I'm just intrigued by this one. Very, very intrigued. $140. I think it's interesting. All right, we got a monster here. Grecell, which is the same power station as like the Ace Volt and the Alcatel. I believe this is the Ace Volt style. Yeah, the Alcatel panels, Alcatel handles are more like recessed because it has storage up here. But man, this is $1,150. Now this one is something you're not gonna be able to return. You're just gonna have to decide you want this. They have other power stations. Oh yeah, it's just their normal little joints, jump offs. But this is LifePo, 2,000 watt inverter, UPS, 1,100 watt charging from the wall, fast charging. It's those devices are extremely capable. And this is like $1,200. I know we like the EcoFlows and the Bluettis, but man, if you absolutely needed a super capable power station for around $1,200, this is hard to not consider. I can't think of the downsides because it has that 50 volt limit, the same as the Delta Max 2. So it's pretty much sitting in the same voltage range for solar. About 500 watts is what you're going to get from it. You're going to have to work to get there. What's up, Satai? Good to see you, man. What are some other weird things about this? I don't think there are any, man. It's a super capable device. One thing that I did notice is I was watching somebody's video. I don't like these flap covers on here. And the dude in the video just popped his off. And I was like, you know what? I did not think I could do that. I mean, you know, in your mind, you could break something off easily, but they kind of just snap in there. So I got rid of mine that cover up my AC input and my solar input because I don't like that little flap. And it's plugging Anderson into those ports. You kind of have to be a little bit exact because there are two squares that have to fit inside of each other. So I like to be able to see, which is also a reason why I raised up my power stations off of the floor. I bought these little stools from Walmart. They were like $10. I got 2 of them. I probably should have got like 4, but I got 2 of them. They're really wide. They're about that tall, maybe about that tall. They're a little bit taller than the typical like Rubbermaid. I wish I had one around here. We have a bunch of those little step stools. I have an EcoFlow on one. I have some other power stations on one in my garage. And then I bought those 2 things just to get the power station up off the floor to be able to easily plug my whatever's into them. It makes it easier for me to plug in AC ports and solar and all of that jazz. $1,200, man. I don't know where I stand on this one, but I thought it was worth mentioning. You know, $340 with a $17 coupon, about $300. 614 watt hours. They reviewed really good. They're under a couple names. I think Jason already reviewed his. It may have been the Babine or the ITEHIL. They had a couple companies that made it, but now it's FFpower. I know FFpower, per Jason Noy, changed their name from one of the other companies. But this is intriguing. One thing that I didn't particularly like that TN Frank said is that he maxed it out at like about 85 watts of solar input, which is okay because most 100 watt panels won't put out that much power anyway. If they do, it'd be kind of rare. You may get up to 90, you know, on just a perfect solar day. But I didn't particularly like that. So I don't know what other circumstances that were surrounding it where it didn't get up to the 100 watts that I needed from it. But I was more of an idealist back then. So I may have been tripping over nothing. But it's an interesting device. In reference to other power stations, 600 watt hours, 60 watt PD, it's 110 volts. I'm pretty sure it probably has a 500 watt inverter. I think $300 is decent for that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it takes a 5525 DC input. That kind of stuff is important to me. It doesn't take any weird power station plug or barrel connector. I'm a fan of that. Interesting little device. It feels a little dated, kind of like the EB70, but you know, $330. That's not bad. I don't think that's bad. What do you guys think? A little honorable mention here. The GoLabbs is on sale for $160. The OG R300. So $191 with a $30 coupon, $160. These type of devices are really ideal for people who just they have a tighter budget. You know, it makes sense to say, yeah, you might as well jump up to the 220 and get the EcoFlow River base model or the EB3A. But some people, man, they don't have that much coin to just easily make that 40, 60 plus tax jump. So this one is an interesting one. I mean, the EB3A and the EcoFlow River are certainly more capable devices in every way. But this is something worth considering, you know, just depends on your budget. And we do have links down in the joint. You click those links and buy anything, it kind of supports the channel. So just be mindful of that. If you're into that kind of thing, I greatly appreciate it. This one, yo, I wanted to talk about this one a little bit. This is the Ctechi, you know, my bad. I never made a video on it. I just never got around to it. Um, Interesting device here. Two wireless charging panels. It has a weird proprietary, I shouldn't say proprietary. It has a weird barrel connector. I'm not a fan of it for that reason, but it can dual charge. You can charge from the barrel connector and the USB-C port. It's bi-directional at 60 watts. It does not have a quick charge, I believe, USB port. Yet it also charge. It does not show battery percentage. It shows watts in, it shows watts out. You get these little bars that are 10 count. It does not have 5521, which I miss at times. This thing held up pretty well for me. Other than recently, the fan got really like loud and abrasive under higher loads. And it started maybe about 3 months ago. But it is $380 with a $100 coupon. So you could get this dip. Oh, it doesn't have pass-through charging either. That's another ding on it. No pass-through charging on it, but you can get that for under $300. That just seems interesting to me. I don't know why. You know what I mean? It's 50 cents a watt hour, which is not uncommon to come across, but it felt like, 518 watt hours for less than $300, 279. That felt interesting. I don't know if it should feel that way, but it felt interesting. I also had those notes on it. There's another power station I came across. I was talking with Live in the Van, like Less Stuff, More Freedom. Before I get to that, this is the 100 watt panel in question. Now they bugging on this $300 price point. That's ridiculous. 110 watts. This dip should be like 220. I don't know why these companies are getting in this habit of marking up panels only to give you coupons on them. I guess it's some weird Amazon thing. I'm not sure. Somebody was telling me something about that. And we already talked about this. I like this device. It's not a perfect, I was telling my wife today, it's not a perfect because I talked it over with her. And she was like, I don't think you should do it. And I'm inclined to agree with her. I was talking with her today. It's not a perfect situation for my zone one. But what it is, it's a perfect situation that kind of appeals to my sensibilities in terms of how much it costs. And even now, it costs a bit more than what I'd be willing to spend. Just like my threshold for a deal is very interesting. You know what I mean? I can kind of jump at some things and then not jump at some things, just depending on how good of a deal it is. One, because I'm very content, and two, because I have a YouTube channel. So if I could just be a little more patient, I may end up getting one for free one day. So I didn't start making YouTube to buy power stations. I tell that to Less Stuff, More Freedom all the time. Not all the time, but a few times. You're too loud. You're too loud, guys. So it's a perfect scenario for my zone one, which is my internet and my TV. The reason why is because what I find is that you kind of want to have a situation where you have about 500 watt hours of capacity. A lot of us who've been in the power stations for a long time, we kind of started out very small, meager with these 300 watt hour power stations, and they're fine, but they're just fine enough. You can't really take any comfort in 300 watt hours. 500 watt hours, 700 watt hours is kind of where you start to be able to kind of relax into like, okay, I got some good power for a little bit. Because relative to your load, for example, my internet uses 20 watts. A 300 watt hour power station will run that for about 10 hours, 11 hours maybe. When I have 500 watt hours over there, I can get about 21, 22 hours out of that. Why that's important, which is what I was telling my wife. You have a situation where I have a power station. I like a buffer situation where I have one power station that is more capable of pulling in solar, also charging another power station that is less capable. In this situation right now, I have the EcoFlow River, just the base model, the first one, which can take in up to 200 watts of solar. And then I have the Energizer P320, which can only charge at 60 watts, but it has a 100 watt PD port that's bi-directional. So I take the EcoFlow charge it from solar. It'll get like 140 watts. I take 100 of those watts, power dump into the Energizer. The Energizer is what powers my internet. So when the EcoFlow, because it only has 278 watt hours of power, it charges up really fast, but is dumping into here to help kind of take in more of that solar. But because it's so low, when it's dead, if I had my internet on it, it would only last a few hours, maybe like 8 to 9. And then you have to keep into consideration that that wouldn't be the only thing I would be running from the EcoFlow river, because it gets a ton of solar into it. So I probably want to have my TV and the internet because I'm getting 100 watts in. It's a whole thing. But what that does is when that dip dies, I still have a whole 10 hours of capacity in my Energizer. Imagine if the River Max was there. Sun goes down 6 o'clock. You got about 10 hours of power. You have to make sure you're showing up that Energizer because it's going to die in the middle of the night. It'll probably give you power till about 3 in the morning. Internet's gone at 3 in the morning. It has happened to me. But if I had the River Max, I'm getting 22 hours. So that's 5 to 5 in the, you know what I mean? It's a much longer time. And by that time, the sun is back up. The power station that gets the solar is starting to get charged. And then I can kind of keep shuffling that power around. It's a much better situation. I like to have that buffer. So 500 watt hours is a good look. Think about it in terms of a lamp. I can get a lamp. The lamp will run for it'll run for a long time. But I had my lamp plugged into my Big Blue, which has about 400 and some odd watt hours of power. And my lamp was still running this morning. If I had it on a GoLabbs R300, my lamp would either be dead when I came downstairs, or it would die right around the morning time when the kids are coming down to get their breakfast. I didn't have to worry about that with the Big Blue because it's a 500 watt hour device. Long story long, 500 watt hours is typically what you kind of want to aim for if you're just starting. 1,000 watt hours, it's much more. It gives you a little more comfort if you're running normal things. The thing about those 1,000 watt hour devices is you tend to have very big inverters. So you may be tempted to run bigger stuff, and then you just kind of end up where you're repeating the cycle. It doesn't have enough power in it to run those things for a long time. But 1,000 watts with a TV using 40 watts power, 50 watts, 80 watts if you haven't tweaked your settings, that's a pretty good look. Anyway, let's see if you guys have any questions. You'll only get 1,600 watt hours from the Grecell, not the rated 2,000 watt hours. What is that? I don't feel like mathing right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. 1,600. If my calculator will work. Let's see. Divided by. That's 80%. So it's like, it gave me 0.8. So I feel like that's normal, right? 1,600 out of 2,000. That's not abnormal. I think you shoot for like 85%. I default in my brain to 80% on most things. Like solar panel output, I assume I'm going to get 80%. Power station, I assume I'm going to be at 80%. So that's where my brain kind of defaults to. So as long as I get 80%, I'm good. Keep in mind that I'm looking for deals. So I'm taking into account how much watt hours I'm getting at that deal price, not necessarily at the full price. Paying $1,200 for 1,600 real watt hours, I think is still a good look. I like to take that into consideration as well. But I think it's still a decent look. I mean, that seems normal to me. I've not seen a Delta Max 2. Maybe it's only in America, Delta Max. The River Max. But yeah, you have a problem finding a Delta Max. I don't know if you just misspoke. Sometimes it's hard to get those things together. Would you ever think about getting the EcoFlow kits? Is it too expensive? Do you think it's a good purchase? Me and Ctechi were actually talking about that. The kits seem overpriced. And this is I've literally only looked into him once, and it was because he was mentioned at Ctechi's Tech Adventures. I was actually talking about doing a live stream with him. We should still do that, where he could talk about like his thoughts on these particular power stations, because he has a certain lens by which he looks at these power stations through, because he just bought some property. He has like a, what he's going to call a homestead, I guess, it feels city-ish, but I could be wrong. But he has like a bunch of land, and he just recently acquired it. So he has a different kind of, way he looks at power stations for providing power for his particular situation. So they looked expensive, to say that they are kind of like DIY style power situations. So I would almost lean towards just doing it the old school way and buying some batteries. But I guess the kits could be a cleaner solution. I don't know if they're meant to be a home solution though. The prices just felt really, interesting. I don't want to say outrageous, but they felt interesting to me. They're too expensive for what I'm willing to spend. I think that it depends on the individual, as they think it's too expensive. Yeah, that's true. It's all relative. Do you think it's a good product? You can wire some of your house to it if you lose electricity. The real question is, are you going to do that? There's a way in which we get into doing stuff for potential, which is fine. I think that we should be interested in future proofing ourselves, but you don't want to, I don't know if you want to spend a good amount of money on your potential to use a feature, right? You want to spend an adequate amount of money on what you will actually use something on. And if it has that potential for what you would actually use it, and you pay a little bit more for that potential, then I get that. But I don't think HomeKit is meant to be in the same space as just a portable power station. And then if you're looking to power your house, quote unquote, you really have to think about the feasibility of that and how much money you're going to have to spend to do that. So it's a lot of thought that goes into it. You know what I mean? And I don't know what your situation is. Feel free to elaborate. But before we start spending a lot of coins, man, we have to be realistic, because sometimes that will lead to us regretting spending as much money as we did. Let's see. For purchase in the US, nonetheless, because I'm not sure it's worth the money. That nevertheless was inserted by auto text. Sorry. I haven't seen any reviews on those kits or know if anyone bothered to review them. They don't seem to be like super popular and out there, but I've never gone searching for them. So, came to win. What's happening, my man? I was just talking about you today to another viewer. Did you get that PS70? I think you won one, right? It seems really good if it works, because I could wire straight to it. I don't know much about it, so I can't speak on that. I'm hoping you have it under control. Hey, Darlene. Without any electrical knowledge, I'm gonna start looking into it. Set tight. If you're around here, if you have an opinion, please share it. I'm working down the comment line. I agree. They seem a little expensive for the storage itself, but they do seem to be the easiest power wall type of setup. Interesting. I feel like I need to look into them more. Oh, okay, he just received the Bluetti PS70 yesterday. Please let me know your thoughts. I really like that they have gas and propane generators as an option too. I was talking to Wayne today. Wayne was like, because I had a few overcast days, like 4, and it just crushes my solar, just in terms of like my power stations and stuff like that. Like I'm using electricity from the wall at the moment, because I don't have enough solar. And he was like, well, I don't know what we were talking about, but he was like, it seemed like you had a bunch of overcast days. What are your plans for supplementing your solar? And I was like, the wall. Excuse me. Wall electricity is cheaper than everything else. The only reason why any of us should be thinking about gas generators, propane generators, and alternative sources, stuff like that, is if you're off grid, right? If you have outages a lot, and for preparedness reasons, should you have a situation where stuff gets sticky and you need to be able to power your joint, the real focus is you need to be able to power your stuff, like natural disaster, rationing of power, blackouts, brownouts, stuff like that. When you need power, I get that, but electricity from the grid is the cheapest way to get electricity. So if you have that available to you, then use that, hands down. Gas, I haven't I haven't given any thought to that math, but powering stuff off of gas and propane, even propane is going up as supplies get interesting, supply and demand type stuff. So, I just now one thing I won't charge, I'm not going to charge up a power station from the wall. I'll just move the stuff that I typically have on the power station onto the wall. I'm not going to put power into batteries just to have them charged, because in a few days I'll have like 3 or 4 sunny days. Hey, mama. What's that? I don't feel like playing with you. Get your sticky sucker out of here. So that's my take on that. I feel like electricity from the wall is much cheaper. Now, if there was a storm coming, if I felt compelled, I would certainly charge up something just to have power on hand. I hope to get to a point where, as the channel grows and, I have power stations, because I was talking with my wife about the situation. It's like, just imagine a situation where, like, Jason Noy has a bunch of power stations. Now you get into the point. Now this is YouTuber kind of talk. Some people buy a lot of power stations too, but imagine having that many power stations, so much so that you have power stations that you just simply cannot use. I think that would be a bit of a struggle, but then I had to kind of smack myself. It's like, but you could have reserve power and you have a little bit more autonomy for the overcast days where you have power stations that are just sitting around that have been full. But it's an interesting kind of balance, having enough power, then having too much power, and having too little power. Having too much power, I would feel kind of like, man, that's why I give some power stations away, because if I don't use them, I'll want to use them. That's why the myelin was out of here. I just wasn't going to be able to use it, and I was going to force myself to use it. So I just gave it away. I gave it to, I think, Gardening with Eve. I'm pretty sure it was Gardening with Eve. Speaking of giveaways, I am going to be giving away this joint. This is something that I've kind of been talking about giving away for a while. The plan was to, this is the Alcatel P501. The plan was to give this away when I had something suitable to replace it. But over a certain stretch of time, I found that I just don't use it. And again, to my point, I don't like having power stations just hanging around that I don't use. It gives me hives. Yeah. Make sure you don't lose that, okay? Okay. When you're done with it, put it back where you got it from. Okay. Take that from the floor. Okay, we'll put it back on the floor then. All right, that's even better. Thank you. I don't want to chat. Uh-oh. So I am going to be giving this away, not on this live. I'm going to be giving it away in a video. So stay tuned for that. You're going to have to be a person who's in tune with the videos to win it. I may share something on the community tab to kind of give you guys a hint. But the community tab is very limited. YouTube only shows that to a certain percentage of my viewers, and it's typically viewers who engage with my content. So you want to be leaving comments and stuff like that, just to let YouTube know that, like, you rock with Ask God. I know that there are some people who watch the channel faithfully, but they don't comment as much. Some people watch the channel on their TV, so they will have to do a separate thing to comment. I get it. But if you want to be in a loop for when that video drops and to be able to watch that video in its entirety, because it is somewhere kind of in the lower back end of the video. I'm going to be giving it away, and it won't be limited to live stream viewers, which is what I've been doing in the past. I want to entertain being able to give stuff away to just people who watch the channel. But I'm not in a space where I want to broadcast it. Like, I want you guys to win this stuff. I don't want somebody who's just casually into solar and doesn't watch the channel but comes across my video because it got a whole lot of views and now it's in their thread, their feed, and now they're like, yeah, I'll try and win that. I don't know who Ask God is, but give me your stuff. So it's kind of like my thoughts on the whole situation. Let's see. Ambition Strikes has at least one video on. Oh, okay, so somebody has a video on a power kit. I have a small cabin in the woods and want to go off grid, but need something user friendly. Please do look into it. Okay, cool. Me too. I have a Honda gas generator that I'd like to be able to trigger with a power station. Extension cords are expensive though, cheaper than a generator, but if you have the generator already, true. Sorry, didn't mean to post too much, but the Powerwall is very expensive. You're fine. You comment as much as you want to. If you comment too much, YouTube will stop you, but I don't mind you chatting. That's what it's for. Take advantage of the fact that there's not a whole lot of comments bouncing around. You know, that's the benefit of hanging out with a smaller channel. There's more capacity, more space for you to get your comments read and addressed. Excellent points about the gas propane backup. Definitely costs more than wall power. It's a good backup option for power outages, right? Yeah, you don't want to be leaning on that. It's great for people who like, I don't know why my system is slow. It's great for people who like, I mean, they need power. There's no other option. People in RVs driving around in those buses, schoolies and all that jazz, like they need to have power to power their stuff. For us home dwellers, we're fine. Just plug your stuff into the wall. It's okay. It's like, even if your energy is expensive, I dare to say if your energy is expensive, your gas is probably expensive too. I think about like Hawaii and Alaska, but even at 20 cents, 1,000 watts per, which is what a kilowatt is, 20 cents. Gas, we did the math one time around here. Gas, if you think about those generators, they talk about how much power they're rated at, and then they talk about like half output. And, it's like a gallon of gas, which is like almost $4. And you could get maybe 500 watts for an hour. I haven't wrapped my mind around it because, one, I don't like gas devices. I had a corded lawnmower for that reason. I am not mechanical at all. I could figure some stuff out, I suppose. But yeah, and now I have a battery powered lawnmower. It's just like, I don't need all that. I don't need all that. I wish I could find an EV I could afford, and I had the money to be able to afford it. You know what I mean? So I'm not into the mechanical stuff at all. Let's see. Is that the Tesla wall? The Tesla power wall? Let's see. Yeah, it's not the cheapest, but I like the versatility, especially if you're doing small scale off grid when the sun goes away. Gas can be a savior. Yeah, it's the keyword is off grid. Okay, you're subscribed. Just never got you live. I gotcha. Hey, Ann, I was wondering why I couldn't comment on TV. I thought I was doing something wrong. Yeah, I don't know how you would do that. I only have Roku TVs, but there are some Android powered TVs that I wonder if you could be able to connect the phone to it and chat and all that jazz. But typically people who watch on TVs, they can't comment just because it's just TV. You're just watching. Greetings. If you're off grid in a cabin, you can just use a suicide cord, whatever. Why you make me say suicide for a regular power station? We had a whole live stream about that. There are these cords that you can plug directly into your outlet, but you have to not have electricity from the grid coming through them. So there was this whole thing like debating on like, okay, well, can you turn off certain circuits in your home and then use your power station to power those circuits? Electricity is pretty easy, but it's very dangerous. It's not super complex, I don't think. The breakers is an interesting thing in and of itself. So I don't know that we got to the bottom of what's what, but an inlet, what is it called? The transfer switches, and then there are the other ones. They're these switches that you can put in to basically be able to power your whole house. And the only thing that they do is they make sure that you can't turn your power from the grid back on. So that tells me that as long as I turn my power off from the electric line, I should be able to power my entire house from a power station using a male-to-male cord. Now, I don't advise any of you to do that. You have to take responsibility for your own life and your own research. But it's something that I've considered. I own one of those cords. What? What?
You need to take responsibility for your own stuff and for your own life.
Man, some people, I just saw a post from one of my childhood friends. She was talking about, they were saying don't plug heaters into power strips. And it's just like, it's the same conversation. They have these blanket statements that they make because people are idiots. They don't know any better. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, don't do that. Don't, the danger, American.
Because you don't know any better. Like if the company who developed this product is telling you, don't.
It's not the company. The company rates the joint. It's because we don't know anything.
Who is it?
We went through 12 years of school and they didn't teach us anything about electricity. Like, that's the problem. It's like, instead of just saying what we shouldn't do, I feel like what they should say is you need to look at your power strip and see what it's rated for. Read the label on your heater and see how much power it uses. Does it use more power than your power strip is rated for? Okay, well, don't do that. Don't use that power strip. I get it. Well, I shouldn't say people are idiots. They're ignorant in the literal sense of the word. They don't know. And I've been that person. I've messed up little cords and stuff like that because not fire.
We just messed up those cords on our life. It's not smell.
Oh yeah. That was ignorance. I was pushing like too many amps through a DC cord, and it started to give off this aroma. And my wife was like, "Is something burning?" I said, "There's a weird smell." So I was like opening up windows and stuff like that to get fresh air in, but I was pushing too much power through one of these. It's a dual 12 volt joint, and I was pushing way too much power through it. They're rated for about 10 amps, and I was probably pushing like 12 to 15 through it. And it was a problem. It started to smoke. Not smoke, it started to give off an aroma. So I found the issue, I unplugged it, and I was like, yeah, that's my bad. I shouldn't have did that. I was an idiot. But anyway, so just to finish up that thought, one question that I put out there about running power through your own electrical grid in your house is, can I turn off certain sections of my house and have power go through them and it go through safely? Because the whole argument that they make is that you don't want to electrify the grid in a power outage. This wouldn't be a power outage. I would do this by just turning off power to my own house. Excuse me. But I wonder if each circuit, you turn off one circuit, you pop a circuit breaker because certain is using too much power, then that circuit is off. Can I power that circuit from a power station and keep it isolated without having the power hop over to other circuits? I feel like it should work that way, but people have built fear into these logic and these laws and these rules where it's like, no, we don't trust you to be smart enough to do stuff around there. So just don't ever use a suicide cord. It's just like, that's the whole thing. I'm gonna try and find that video. Maybe I'll put a link to that live stream down in the description below. So if anybody wants to watch that live stream, it was incredibly entertaining and good for me. I enjoyed talking about it. But yeah, it's a whole thing. Let's see what y'all snapping and trapping about. People don't know stuff and companies don't tell You everything. Electricity ain't no joke. Yeah, listen, it's very dangerous, but it's also very simple, just in the grand scheme of things. Like if you're off grid, you have no connection to the grid, you have electrical wiring in your cabin or your home, you can plug a power station directly into the joints with a male-to-male cable, and then your house will be wired for electricity. It has the limitations of that power station built into it, but should be fine. Should work like anything else. Silver Symbol had a video on it as well that I'll put down in the description after the video. He was warning against using suicide cords. Now, what I did, he mentioned something in the video that kind of affirmed my point. He was just like, yeah, you don't want to do this because what if you turn it off and your spouse or somebody comes and turns it back on, and now you have electricity going up through the grid and all that jazz. And I'm just like, tell your people don't touch stuff. And I say at some point, because they talk about an educated electorate is the best electorate. And I feel like educated people are they're the best people. It's like you just need to learn. That's it. Hey, Cow Dog Connoisseur, I almost messaged you today. Did I message you today? I think I messaged you today to let you know I was going live. I'm so new to this. I'm afraid of that suicide plug. Let me tell you something, Deborah. Here's the thing. In our situation, right? Because the problem is people typically use them with generators. Generators, once you fire those things up, they're turned on, at least my understanding, they're providing electricity. A power station is a different thing. You have to actually turn your power station on. So you having the benefit of having your power station off in the house, safe. You can plug those wires in, disconnect your panel, turn your panel off, especially if you live alone, right? That's perfect. You have a situation where you turn your panel off, plug in your male to male electric cord. I even purchased a female to male cord adapter, a short one with a switch on it, so that I could have redundancy in making sure that the power is off. So not only can I have the power station AC turned off, I can have it plugged into a power station with the AC turned off, and I can have a end that has a switch on it that's turned off as well. I have redundancy there in terms of protection. Plug it into my wall, turn the switch on, turn the power station on, make sure my electricity, my panel is off, disconnected at the main, because again, I don't know if you can isolate your power. It's possible, but I don't know if you could do it for prolonged time safely, even though that's the whole point of having a circuit breaker. I am not an electrician. I don't know how that stuff works. I don't know if it's all connected. So don't take my word on any of this, but just my basic understanding, it should be fine. Go watch that Silver Symbol video. It gives you a lot of, if you kind of reverse engineer it, it kind of lets you know that it is possible, but it is dangerous. You should tread carefully. You know what I mean? Since I don't know if he wants me to publicize it, but I'm gonna stop there. I'll wait to see what he says. Let's see. Interlock. Yeah, that's what it is. An interlock switch. So the interlock makes it so you have to turn your whole panel off and you can't turn it back on. And then you switch it over to whatever power source you have. So it's like they built something to make sure that you wouldn't do anything crazy. But it's because you can do it. That's what the whole point of an interlock switch is, just this little metal thing that goes over it. My understanding, you flip it over and it locks off. That's literally all it does. Let's see. The one thing we were unsure about with the suicide cords is if power traveling the neutral would bleed into other circuits. Not a problem truly off grid. Okay, yeah. See, even that, I understand that intellectually, but I don't understand what he's saying practically, but it makes sense to me. So there's some uncertainty there. So my situation is if I ever had to do that, it would be all off. I wouldn't have anything powered. I would turn off the main power and then I'd mess around with powering stuff from my power station that way. In an ideal situation, I just want a transfer switch. That's really the safest bet. Get straight. Let's see. Yeah, I have melted the shiny insulations a few times. Maybe I will limit the power station's AC input so I can use a cheaper cord. Yeah, that's doing too much. You did, and thank you. My notifications are on or nil. Oh yeah, they don't work. That sucks. I don't know why. Rule in my house: do not touch nothing, honey. What's a suicide cord? Don't like that name. Yeah, they call it that because they want to scare you. It's basically a male-to-male extension cord. An extension cord in and of itself is safe because it has a male on one end and then it has recessed connection on the other, or female. A suicide cord or a male-to-male AC cord has males on both ends. So if you plug it into a hot outlet and you touch that dip, you're going to have a problem. That's the skinny. I didn't finish electrician school, so it's at your own risk. That's for sure. Hey, Rhea. Use an interlock. Don't use a suicide cord. There you go, Rhea. You know, being Rhea works for the man. Oh man, I don't, man. Listen, don't do anything beyond your understanding and your capability. Period. But I'm not one of those people. I saw Ctechi was talking about the air conditioners. That's another thing. They tell you not to plug air conditioners into power strips to plug directly into the wall. There's a reason why they tell you that, but they don't tell you the reason why. They just want you dumb. Hey, Texas nail educator. So I have a gas Jenny, and I have a cord that's ran from the gas Jenny. Now I want to run a cord from that panel to my Bluetti. I don't understand that. Can you flesh that out a bit? Okay, because I'm going off grid. I dig it. Hey, Diva, it's been a long time. How you doing down there in Texas? You still in Texas? I missed Ctechi's comment. Okay, maybe I saw AC input and I thought air conditioners for some reason. Oh, okay, here it is. They say not to plug air conditioners into extension cords. I did it for years, but I knew I needed a thick cable. They worry about people running 1800 watts through a 14 gauge or smaller cable. Right, yeah, because people buy those little cheap extension cords and they pull too much power through it. And I get it. Listen, just say it again. I get it. I understand. But just educate people. This is the reason why you don't do that. And I know that that's not ideal. Or maybe what you should do is you should give the warning for those who are unenlightened, but just do a learn more here for the intellectually curious, so people can actually learn why they shouldn't do this stuff. That's my thing. Don't just tell me don't do it and then make it illegal or unlawful or against the code to do something when it's just I know as a government entity, a governing body, we have to take responsibility for those we represent. But do you? Do you?
Yes, you do. Because there are people, because you basically, it is one of those situations where the few can affect the masses. And I'm okay with that.
I don't feel like I should have to wear a seatbelt.
I think about the IRS. I think about, all of the different forms. They make things very, very easy for you to be able to do on your own without having to spend the money that you may not have to hire some type of representation who are experts in this field. They make it easy for you to be able to figure it out and do on your own.
This is not the same thing. I'm not talking about making it easy for people.
Well, I think the point of it is they make it very basic.
Basic, okay.
You know what I mean? For everybody to be able to do. And so there are still instances where I feel like people may not. I feel like there's those people that exist and they exist in large numbers.
Maybe they should exist in smaller numbers. Maybe that's the problem.
No, I mean, well, I don't know.
Right, yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'm not a fan. I get it, but I'm not a fan. Like when we were in school, you know, the teachers used to always say, well, the good gonna suffer for the bad. I was never a fan of that. I just feel like that's dumb. Let the bad suffer for the bad. Let the good be good. All right. Did you guys win or are you projecting, Diva? Hey, Siobhan. Good to see you too. You can use an extension cord with an air conditioner just as long as it's an 8 gauge or thick enough. Now, again, it also matters my understanding. Please correct me. It also matters how big your air conditioner is. And most people are cheap. So most of us have these 5,000 BTU air conditioners. I don't think you need an 8 gauge cable for 500 watts. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I will stand by for that correction. Let's see. A lot of people don't understand why they should plug stuff into stuff. That's true. 100%. It's basically politics. Go extreme saying never, or hyperbolic like superside core. There is no nuance. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I don't mind wearing my seatbelt, but I really wish I could disable the seatbelt alarm. Yeah, that's a good look. I don't like the whole seatbelt thing. Fire department told me not to exceed the light bulb wattage. The fixture states because a fire could occur. Interesting. Anne is saying, "Come wave to us, baby."
If I was in something big different, I would.
They do that because you always have people that say, "But what if I try this?" Those people are gonna do what they gonna do. I get it. It's crowd control. I get it. It's mass crowd control. I understand it. I don't have to agree with it though. I get it. It's the same thing with the mask. It's like, wear the mask. Oh, we're running out of masks. Oh, the mask don't matter. Okay, we got enough masks. All right, wear the mask again. Just wear the mask. Cloth masks work. And then you find out cloth masks don't work. It's just like I get it. People are stupid. Well, you know. The crazy part about that, and I've talked about this a few times, maybe not here, because we've gone so long misleading and lying to people. You have a certain group of people that literally, no matter what you tell them, they will not believe you. And it's because people do stuff like this. It's because government officials have been rocking like this for the longest time. And it's just like, man, I get it, but geez, it's like there's distrust out there, mass distrust out there. It's just like, anyway, I wonder, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I wonder what kind of way the government is going to try and figure out how to continue to like put its thumb down on the solar scale, because they don't seem to be a fan of you being like independent of them. Like in California, I believe they wanted to charge people for having solar panels. Now, that conversation is a very deep one because they took the government's money and they gave all those incentives. And now what they're finding is that those people who have those panels because of those incentives are not necessarily paying their fair share. And, you know, no company really wants you to pay your fair share. They want you to pay exorbitantly, I think I'm saying that right, more than your fair share. And they want the right to charge you more than what they need to charge you because they will do whatever they do with your money. Um, but now they're starting to charge people for having solar panels. And I can't help but wonder if they're going to try and figure out a way to do that with people who just have solar panels like myself. They're not connected to anything. I know that's far fetched, but I don't put anything past these folks, especially on a local municipality level. It's like, man, these people just be doing all kinds of dumb stuff. I saw something where these people in the HOA, they had to keep their garages open because somebody wanted them to. I don't know what the reason was. The reason was so absurd that I didn't even retain it. They had to keep their garages open so that the HOA could see I don't know how anybody agrees to live in a homeowners association. I just don't get that. Oh, nice. Well, congrats to you guys. The Astros, I feel like the name doesn't seem like one who's hasn't won in the last like decade or so. I felt good for the Nationals when they won in DC. We lived in DC for a little bit. So that was cool. It's always cool when a team that doesn't normally, it's not the top tier teams, when they win championships. So congrats to the Astros.
Asking dumb questions just to be asking a question.
It should be hard to get a light bulb that's higher wattage than the fixture unless it's really cheap fitting, expensive light, or maybe a fixture with no air movement. Interesting.
Right. Because you ain't listening.
Yes, Dale, there will always be those that need the words coffee is hot, which is bananas. That's bananas to me. That whole McDonald's situation with that coffee is so stupid. It makes no sense that it went down that way. I use an 8 gauge for my 15,000 BTU and only a 10 gauge for my 5,000. Yeah, I would dare say you don't even need 10 gauge, but that's I have to think about that technically. And I don't feel like it right now. Now you can do like 10 amps AC on a 16 gauge cable, right? That's where my brain went. Set tight. DMAC, what's happening? Interesting, you are discussing this tonight. Our AC 500 and B300s just arrived. Nice. Stringing a new, I know, right? Turn up. Stringing a new 1600 watt tracking solar array. Oh, you went tracking. That's peculiar. We'll be feeding power via our lockout switch. That's another thing that they call them. The interlocks, the lockout switches, and going off grid for good. Good for you. That's what's up. Oh, there she is. What was your apprehension for coming on camera?
Having my robe on and stuff like that.
Oh, people wear robes, thug life. Okay. I'm not gonna get stuck in your stuckedness. So like 1,000 watts AC. Okay. Jimmy, what's happening? Amps increase over distance and with resistance, so the gauge and length of the cord matter regardless of the watts of your AC. That's a very good point, Jimmy. And I think that that's ultimately why they tell you don't put it into an extension cord, because extension cords are for making things longer. But I bought like a little 6-foot extension cord and I felt like that was fine. You know what I mean? But that's a very good point. It's hard to decide since I naturally question and research. Maybe it's okay to just say no, but I do hate that people keep reporting the suicide cords. I'd rather buy than DIY it. I got you. Yeah, that's true. Like a 16 gauge 100-foot cord says 10 amps on the label. The question is, how many watts does your AC use when the motor turns on? Right. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it was a weird. That's why I was on the news, because it was an outlier type of situation. They're just telling people that they had to keep their garages open. It could have been for a season or something like that, but they just wanted to see what people had. Or it was weird. It was weird. So no name. A lot of craziness in CA, major decline. Yeah, that stuff gets out of. I know Bill Maher. He had like a long running thing. I think it took him like 2 years or a year and a half just to get solar on his house, because like all the people who had to come out and approve. It took him, and he's famous and rich. So he went like 300 some odd days, 400 some odd days trying to get solar on his house. It's ridiculous. I can't imagine living somewhere where people infringe upon your ability to do something so much. Another reason for the warning about drop cords and AC is lots of homes and apartment buildings built before 1964 still have the old paper insulated wiring. There you go, getting some learns. I don't know what that means, but I understand it's probably dangerous. They wanted to make sure no one was living in the garage. Interesting. That is interesting. There you go. HOA rules or hit the road. Oh, it's coming. They're going to try and stop solar because it's free. That's why I'm going off grid, because they do not pay you what you are charging for your free power you are giving. They not pay you what they are charging you for your free power you are giving to them. Yeah, but they shouldn't. They shouldn't pay you. I think the programs that did dollar for dollar were a mistake. They should have had a middle ground between like dollar for dollar and what they pay wholesale. I don't think an electric company should have ever paid people the going rate for, because they don't, it's like that's anti-business. You know what I mean? It's like you don't sell something that costs. Why be in business if you're going to do that? It might as well be publicly owned. Um, so yeah, anyway. Day one, what's going on, man? Blessings to you and the family. Hey, man, same to you and yours, man. Same to you and yours. The Nationals beat the Astros that year. Oh, wow. What a coincidence, right? Dang, well, I'm glad y'all back in it and y'all got it done. The Astros won a few years ago, but they cheated. Oh, jeez. I'm walking away from that one. D-Mac, that's a problem with or without an extension cord. I was thinking the same thing. If a house has insufficient wiring for modern electric appliances, yeah, I guess. But if the load, if you exacerbate the issue by putting a longer extension cord, then you kind of, yeah, I get it. It makes sense. I was happy they won this time only because of Dusty Baker. I don't follow baseball, so you got me. Another autocorrect comment to Ian King. I don't follow baseball. No, I don't. Did you ever find, my wife is saying I don't follow any sports. Definitely not like you weirdo fan people. Did you ever find a DC electric blanket? I didn't, man. I'm not compelled enough to struggle with trying to find one. Tracking away, wow, please do a video. Hey, I think some's garage, Gavin's garage, he has like a crazy like fly looking tracking setup and dual Delta Pros and all that jazz. All I could think of, that dude must make good money because he got like the joints and he got the batteries. So he got like 6, 7, 8,000 watts of power. And I think he has a tracking array. Yeah, it's like it's a moving part. That the common logic is you could compensate for that with just more panels. So I'm not into stuff that could break. I really want to do some tracking, but haven't found a good DIY setup, and I don't want to pay $600 I've seen. Regarding the HOA, certain places wanted to make sure people were not living in the garage. Then there are places garage doors must be closed. Power control issues. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that's what Diva said. Good chat. Good chat. Good chat. Good chat. Anybody in the market for this EcoFlow River 2 Max with this free 110 watt panel? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like EcoFlow's cases for their panels and how you have to use those cases to stack up the panels, and the panels kind of flop off to the side. I was watching a few reviews today on the 110 watt. There aren't many, so that's been weird. One dude said it wasn't waterproof. Everybody else says it is waterproof. The listing says it's waterproof, so that's interesting. I just want to kind of flat deploy it. It being a folding panel is a little inconvenient, but I wonder if I could use it in my front yard. If I was to get, you know what I mean, like entertain that idea of having a quad fold 110 watt panel. I wonder how it's wired, because maybe in a situation I could fold it over on itself and only have 2 of the panels facing up towards the sun. That way the footprint is smaller. But even then, if it's wired in parallel, why not just have it all the way out and then a certain part gets shaded, but it becomes harder to move. If you have it kind of folded in on itself, it becomes like just 2 panels, 50 watts. I'm not saying that that's ideal, but I have so many panels. I have quite a few folding panels. I have like 5 now, 4. 2 Rock Pals, Big Blue, and X-Star. And I gave away 2 of them. I gave the All Powers away to 2%. and I gave the Agwe away to Bro Let's Go. So I don't know. I would do a flat deploy on that. But it's not my main panel. You know what I mean? It's extra bonus power. I'm a little shoot. I flat deploy rigid panels. What's wrong, Mama? You're hurt?
Yeah.
With your teeth?
Yeah.
Okay, see if Mommy can help you. I don't know what you would help her with, but thug life. Let's see. I want to know what a tracking array is and how it works. It just follows the sun. It's a mechanical whatever, and however it does it, it makes your panels kind of follow the sun or on its whatever axis it allows it to follow it. So you don't have to be out there adjusting panels, but it's costly and it's a thing that can break in the future, and you have to spend money to either fix it or replace it. And some people have, some people being Will Prowse, Hobotech, other folks have talked about like you might as well just spend extra money on the panel for the extra amount of power you'll get because of tracking. That's it. Amazon has 12-volt DC blankets listed under $25. I'm super picky, and I need a big one. I mean, this is like me being a broken record. I haven't found one that I was intrigued by. And some of them say the 12-volt dips don't get warm enough. And I don't know what climate these people are in. I really just need to buy a few and test them out. It is the shopping season, so now will be a good time to do it. I'm just not committed enough to get into it, to be honest. I've been thinking about electric blankets since I started this channel. I feel like Diva's been around on many of those chats where we talk about them. Okay, boom. A tracking array has a solar mount setup that uses a sensor to autonomously move on the axis in order to track and stay facing the sun. Boom. I have two 110-watt EcoFlow panels. Those joints get, oh wow, they get really hot. I hang mine on the garage wall. Interesting. Well, I mean, I don't know if I've ever gone up. Yeah, I've had some hot panels. Not folding, but rigids. I've had to grab and move a panel and be like, ooh, geez. But they get hot, Thug life. What is the cheapest off-grid setup I can do? It's like that's one of those very subjective questions. What is cheap for you? I feel like if you're going to be off grid, to be honest, you should just DIY your stuff. Just build your own system. That's the cheapest, actually. You could go all fancy and all encompassing and get a power station, but you're gonna pay a little bit of a premium for a better looking package that if it breaks, you're out of luck. So I think you should just get some panels, an MPPT charge controller, some batteries, and an inverter, and be done with it. And then improve it as you need to. But that's a learning curve, right? It's not super easy, but it is kind of easy. It's not hard to build your own system. Another alternative to tracking is that some people have 2 or 3 arrays. Some panels facing sunrise and some panels facing sunset along with the normal array. Interesting. I wonder if an electric blanket would be better for heating batteries in the garage than a space heater. I'm sure it has to be better than a space heater. Has to be. I mean, most of those batteries has high temp protection. So if they get too hot, they'll stop charging. But if you get a DC one and they only get kind of warm, then that's kind of better too. If they kind of suck at heating. How is the Dr. Prepare battery project going? Interesting. That's an interesting question. It's working fine. It's not necessarily a project. I have a cheap PowerWorks MPPT charge controller that I have hooked up in a very interesting way where it goes from Anderson to an Anderson to MC4 cable to an MC4 to battery clamp, thanks to All Powers, and it charges my batteries. The thing that I like about Anderson is they can be kind of Legoed and switched around. Watch my PowerWorks video. I did a video on that, and I kind of showed how I switched it around. It was a bit of an educational, or it had an educational segment in it. So I know the retention on that wasn't great, but it was a cool video. But it's working fine. Dr. Prepare per Jasenoid. I don't know if that battery is out. Somebody just mentioned it to me. I think it was Robert Kinney. They have this little attachment that they can put onto one of their batteries. I don't know if it fits all of their batteries, but it gives you like super easy, quick. Let's see if we can find it. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? She don't say catch. She said catch me. Let's see here. Dr. Prepare. They have a pre-Black Friday sale. Let's look at some batteries. What we got here? Yeah, this is also, it's a special battery. You can't do it on everything. This thing is, I literally was just thinking about that because of that comment, and I thought about emailing them to see if they would want to work with me again so I could get one of these. But check this out. This little thing right here slides into this slot and gives you instant access to USB, a 12-volt socket, and it looks like some other stuff, an Anderson, so you could probably charge it. That's freaking incredible. It's incredible. The ingenuity. I love these Dr. Prepare batteries because they have the 12-volt the LCD screen on it. I don't know if it's LCD, but they have the screens on the batteries. As a battery novice, I thought that was dope because then I could look at the voltage. The voltage is not super accurate, but I have an idea of something going on with the batteries. My ampere time battery, that video needs to be edited. I need to shoot another few clips. I know they're probably like, that dude, man, he did not make the video on time. And that's my bad. Shoot, I got to talk about this product. I'll talk about that in a second. The ampere time battery is lighter, though. I do like that. These batteries, though, at least the batteries I have, are heavier. Man, that is so freaking sweet. I love stuff like that, man. Let's see, what does it do? Battery, PowerMax battery and hub. What connections does it give you? It's called the Max Hub. Y'all gonna tell me about the Max Hub, fam? Like, what is you doing?
All right, so what time you said you want
133. Keep track of real-time power. Okay, so it's only dots here. Durability. Dude, can you tell me about the dip? Like, what are you doing? This is a waste of, like, what are you doing, Dr. Prepare? Let's go back up to specs and see if I could get some information here. Okay, so some different, has 3,000 cycles at 80% depth of discharge. Low, blow, parallel up to 4 batteries. Waterproof. I don't know what's waterproof. The battery can be waterproof. Maybe it is. I don't know. Okay, here we go. PowerMax Hub. So Anderson has input 12 volts to 14 volts. Output on the bottom port. I didn't see a bottom port. DC in. It's only 100 watts of charging. 11 volts to 25 volts. I feel like that voltage should have been a little higher. USB-C rated at 30. A rated at 18. DC out 12 volt 10 amps. What do they mean DC out? That's interesting. Cigarette lighter 12 volt at 10 amps. Okay, let's come back up here and look at it. So I only see one Anderson joint. 12 volt. Maybe that's USB-C. Maybe that's the DC output. Hopefully that's 5521. Jason has one, so I imagine he's gonna make a video about it soon. I use two 12-volt electric blankets, approximately 50 inches by 60 inches in my van during the winter. They use about 28 watts each. They work out perfect, and they're only about $35. I hear you. Okay. I just gotta pick one and buy it, and I'm not motivated. Yeah, I know you got one on deck. Shoot, I'm not buying one. I'm not gonna do it. I don't want. It takes me time, guys, to research stuff. I'm extremely granular in my research process. Yeah, it takes me too long. That's why I haven't done it. I saw one, thought I needed that. It was expensive, but a great idea. Tracking the sun. Yeah. Told you a weighted blanket is much better. Yeah, you did. You did tell me that. I recommend one of the LV6548s and the server rack battery for off grid. Interesting. One inverter probably does what you need on a shed if your HVAC is something like Mr. Cool. That's a very good point. So yeah, you could do these. Deborah, he's talking to you. Okay, you saw his response. You could have one of these like all-in-one situations. Those dips are really easy and straightforward. That's the way that I would go if I was gonna go a DIY situation. I haven't found one that appeals to my sensibilities yet, but they're super capable. Actually, and some of them can do solar. They can do power without a battery. Will like made a video on it, but he went like hard in the paint and was trying to power his air conditioner. And I was just like, dude, can you power a TV from it? That's all I mean. Can you power the internet from it? That'd be cool. And then he was like, yeah, you could probably get away with having a small battery. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan when people use these non-specific words like small. It's like, what's a small battery to you? 100 amp hours, 50 amp hours, 60? I don't know. I don't know. And I also didn't understand why a small battery would work. I didn't know enough to process what that meant. So it's just like, okay, well. And nobody else is making batteryless LV videos. So, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. I'm in the dark in that regard. On the newer ones, I think Jason was saying that they have some newer ones that have low temp cutoffs, which is interesting. So thank you. I'm seeing so many options and I do not know what's best for my situation. Yes, and I do have security cameras. Definitely do a battery. You need it for the surge capacity is what Ctechi is saying. Yes, I watch Will all the time. But he is major solar, yeah. His big money solar over there. Yeah, his systems are big, and what's important to him is that stuff just works. I don't mind manually kind of doing stuff around my house because, again, power is not a need for me. It's a preparedness thing. It's a hobby thing. It's a cutting and saving some money off of my bill kind of thing. But I don't necessarily need it to be automated. Ctechi is another person who wants his stuff to be automated and just work. He doesn't want to be managing it and all that jazz, which I get. I understand 100%. That's true. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this, but I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. This is the Foxtheon solar panel that they sent me. They emailed me about it. They gave me not a hard time, but it was like a $40 device. I think it was on sale. This is the panel. It's a 14-watt folding panel. I don't want to say it's very niche, but it's a little bit niche. I think about like carrying this around compared to something like, let me see here, because I got it down here. Contrary to what I have said, this is actually my first solar panel. The Renogy 50 watt was my first like rigid solar panel, real solar panel. But this dip, I think my wife got this for me for my birthday because it was so expensive. I have this thing where I don't feel comfortable buying very expensive things. So I use my birthday as a means by which to get some things that I wouldn't normally spend money on. We have had very recurring seasons of being limited on funds. So it was just like, So this is my first solar panel. I believe this is a 14 watt. Boom, anchor. This Foxtheon, sorry about that, is 14 watts as well. So let's pop it open. Now, it was a $40 panel. I told them, because sometimes when I don't know if a product is worth it, I try to let people know, like, yeah, you could send it to me. I'll mention it to my folks on the live stream, but I can't promise you I'm gonna make you a video on it. Because if it sucks, then I'm not gonna waste my time making a video. This thing, I'm surprised at it. I got to see about performance, but just having it in hand, it is really nice. It's an ETFE panel. So it has a little, it's either ETFE or somebody's lying to me, but it does the, where you from, mother? That's a Cash Money reference. You either know or you know. That's what it looks like open. It's a 4 joint panel. How I envision this is being useful to have it kind of laying off of your book bag, or very easy to carry around with you if you just need power for a cell phone. It will not charge it super fast. 14 watts is not a lot of power. It's rated at 14 watts, so you probably won't get that. But it's meant for 5 volt, like 1-2 amp devices. So it's a situation where I think they not just them, but anybody, Anchor as well, which is who that other panel is for. They kind of they set them up for success as best they can. So it's a 14 watt panel, but you would be hard pressed, just like rigid panels, just like folding panels, to get the full output. So what I have in mind is trying to see how well this will charge a Wise camera or run a Wise camera. Because imagine just laying this out in the yard, and then you can have this wherever you want a camera to be within the range of your Wi-Fi. Now, what I had, they say these are waterproof, but I don't know to what extent they are waterproof, because the Wisecam V3 is waterproof as well. So imagine what I have in mind to be able to have it out there in less than stellar conditions and still be able to run when the sun conditions are relevant. Now, it does only have a USB-A port on here. That's all it has. For 14 watts, I feel like you can't do much more than that. It's very interesting. So that's the Foxtheon. I'll put a link in the description. I should have had one in the description already, but I was putting other stuff in there. It's an interesting little device. Let me see if I have a page up for it already. I do. So let's show it. Get $10 off instantly. Pay $29 upon approval. Oh, okay, that's some Amazon card stuff. It had a coupon on it before. So I'm not sure what's going on there. The first time I looked at it, it was probably selling maybe for like $30 or so. I'm not sure, but it could be because I was logged in. So you can just see a couple of things I showed you. I was really surprised by the quality, the feel of the panel. It's $40, which is not bad. I think that's comparable to what some other panels I've seen. But to have something like that in your backpack or your purse, I think that's really cool. And I'm not trying to sell you guys on this. Y'all, hopefully you know me well enough to know that it's just, these are my authentic feelings coming across this particular device. It is not beyond my whatever to buy a folding panel. You will find yourself hard pressed to like take in the value of something that's $40 that's so small compared to how much you can spend on like a rigid panel. But as we talked about before, portability and mobility is often at a premium. So it just is what it is. But I think that that's really intriguing to have a situation, a solar panel that's that small, that compact. Again, this is the bag that it comes in. I don't know what kind of reference point I could give. This is my cell phone. I got a new cell phone. This is the S21 Fan Edition. It's compared to my cell phone. It's really small. So to have that and to be able to know that if you had an issue where you were like hanging out in the park or at the beach or wherever, it does have little corners. I am kind of disappointed in the material on these corners, not for performance reasons or anything like that. I'm just used to seeing loops. So I feel like the loops will make it maybe a little harder to fit inside of the package that it comes in. So, you know, I wasn't expecting it to be that. I was expecting something a little more like these little things like this. This is what I'm used to seeing. So no knock on this. I don't have experience with these. Pretty cool device. I have an idea. I'm going to refine it to make a video. I'm probably going to make a video. I have to see the performance and all that jazz, and you know, we'll see. But if you guys are interested in it, you could check it out. I would say watch the price on it. I may have to go to camel.com to see what the price was, because I don't want you paying more than you should for it. But yeah, there's also another situation where who else? Flex Solar reached out to me about a panel, and I think I'm gonna get their 40-watt panel. I already did a video on their 60-watt panel, which was a 6-way folding panel. This one is a 6-way folding panel as well, but it folds all the way out. I think Shar Farme has one. Wayne also has one. So it folds out very long, which is a little weird to me. But it's one of those things that because I don't live a outdoor lifestyle, I don't necessarily see the benefit in its in the beginning. But if you think about, like, again, going out, being mobile, having something that I feel like could charge multiple devices because it's rated at 40 watts. I don't think it, even though it has a DC output. Oh, somebody, Iridium, he did a video on it. It wasn't necessarily a great video in terms of what I like to hear. Here's another thing. I find that what I want when I look at a video of a product is I want you to tell me about the specs, but don't just read the specs off, but talk to me about it's kind of like making that Amazon description page more tangible and more digestible, and more like practical, and then sharing information that maybe that Amazon page doesn't share. I've been thinking about this in the last few days. So I need information that I can't find on the Amazon listing. Like, what size is the 55 of the barrel connector? Is it 5521? Is it 5525? Does it have one? What's it rated at? How much is the output going to be realistically? I want to know output when it's laid flat. I want to know output when it's laid at an angle. Those are the kind of things I want to know when I watch a video. And a lot of videos are not helpful. They make videos from the standpoint of what's applicable to their lifestyle. So I need like a generic overview of a product, but very like practical. That's what I like to see. That's why I make the videos that I make, because I felt like I couldn't find these videos. Like, just I need to know the basics, but the implications of those basics and so on and so forth. But his video left me with some unanswered questions on it. So, like, I want to know if you fold it back on itself, because it's a 6 panel. So if you fold it in 3 and you put that only having 3 panels facing outward and you stretch that across a backpack, will it get power, or is it wired in series where it won't get any power? Those are things that I'm curious about, because I would much rather have the 40 that's a 6-way fold that I could fold in half and still get about 20 watts, rated, versus getting a 20-watt dip. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but I think I'm going to get the 40 so I can test that, and we'll see how it goes. See what y'all snapping and trapping about. LVP, hey, what's going on? Bro, let's go. One of my favorite channels, man. I enjoy watching them, mainly because of their marital dynamic. I enjoy that. Hey, Sasha, what's happening? Good to see you.
Hey.
Dell's saying hi if you're still around. I know I was running my trap for a minute. Originally wanted to keep it simple with more panels, but space is limited and shading is an issue. So less panels with a tracker was the best solution for max output. Interesting. Interesting. She said, "Hey, baby." I mean, she said, "Hey" to you first, Sasha. um, I didn't mean to put that at the end of the stream, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I don't think I have anything else. I do have some tech stuff. I would love to talk to y'all about tech stuff, but this channel is about solar. I got a new laptop, crazy deal. So that's pretty fun. I also got Melee to send me a computer. They sent me another computer. I'm gonna make a video about that soon-ish. I can't make any promises. But we talked about this before. This little card size computer. I use it to run my Plex server now, my new Plex server. This thing is very interesting. I have envisioned for it is to be able to make a like it's a good low power computer for maybe traveling with or plugging into your TV or your monitor that you already have, and then you would use it with something like, where's my little keyboard at? I don't know where it is. It should be around here. Oh, here it is. I've had this little Logitech keyboard for years. It has a built-in trackpad and has a little like mouse button. It's basically like a media center keyboard. So you kind of hold it like this and you could make it work and all that jazz, lay it down. Works on a bunch of stuff. I've always used this for mobile computing. It's a cool little setup. I think some people will be interested in that. Maybe I'll tap into a different audience by making that video. If you see that video, watch out for it. I am going to be giving away the Alcatel P501. You have to watch for that video. It will not be a video about a giveaway. I'm going to mention it in the video. So you have to watch the video all the way through so you kind of get the hint and follow the instructions in the video. I can only ship to the 48 states that are connected or the contiguous or whatever they say it is. Because you cannot ship batteries to Alaska and Hawaii because of their limitation on lithium ion batteries. This battery is a lithium ion one. So yeah, I'll be giving that away. I could be giving away the SmartLess soon as well. Maybe, maybe not. This one has a funky port, but it dual charges. So I also don't like that the fan is kind of loud, not loud in a disruptive way, but it is pretty loud. I kind of like quieter power stations. My wife uses that one a lot because it lives upstairs. I'll charge it up on the balcony. It's getting colder, so it's not as feasible anymore. I do have a video coming out about the rock pals too. I got that second rock pals. It's right here. This is lithium ion as well. I have the 300 watt hour, but this is the 500 watt hour. I bought this one recently. So the good thing about this one is it charges via Anderson and it can also dual charge, but it has a regulated 12 volt port and has a 45 watt USB-C port. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad I got that one, which may lend itself to me giving away the SmartLess. I opted to give away the Alcatel early because like I said earlier, I don't use it. So I'm just like, I want to wait until I replace these power stations with other power stations. But I had been thinking about whether I should just give stuff away to make room for other stuff. Sometimes it's a spiritual concept where you have to like clear out space. It's not necessarily a spiritual concept. I don't think it's biblical. But it's just goodness, reaping what you sow. Um, So I wanted to just I was entertaining, like, do I wait till I get something or do I just give this one away? I've been finding that I don't use that Alcatel P whatever as much anymore. It is just a straight up power station. I don't consider it to be a solar power station. It's not even a 12 volt power station in that you have to charge it from AC. So it's just a good dip for you to use as a power dump or for you to use as something you charge up and you kind of store away to use when you need it. Like if you need to use it during a storm or something like that. I had it charging off of solar because I found the right tip for it. It's the green tip if you have any tips in any of your solar panels, but it just stopped working. And that tip didn't fit snug anyway. The AC adapter that will come with it, that's the only thing that came with it to me, fits really snug and it charges at 125 watts. So it charges up pretty fast as well. It's a nice little device. It has pass-through charging, I believe. I think. I have a video on it. Watch the video. And then when that video comes out, maybe I'll give my Patreon folks a heads up on what video it is. So they'll kind of have an inside leg on you guys. But hey, they support me on Patreon. So shout out to Sharon or Sharfarmaid, Silver Surfer. Ctechi supports, toss me a few coins on Patreon. You can toss me a few coins on Patreon. I think Michael recently started on one of my tiers. So that's cool. I do need to revamp the tiers to be more reflective of what I actually offer. But yeah, and that's my Cash App. If you guys are feeling generous, thank you to all you guys who say thanks with coins. That's kind of like a concept around here because I'm open to helping out where I can as long as time allows. Some people are kind enough to send me some coins to say thank you for the time. Let's wrap it up. Y'all be beautiful. Have a good night. If you have any questions, I'll be around in the chat for a little while longer. Till next time.